Oh, please stop staring at me like that. Oh, thank you. Oh, what are you doing there, you ask? Well, what do you think? How does it look? I mean, I'm trying to read the prompt list. What? It's upside down, you say? No. It's not upside down. I mean, well, perhaps you're right. Let me turn it around. Oh, oh my goodness, this is so hard. Well, now it's in the other direction, but I can't read it. No, I think I have the feeling it has to be like this for today. It has to be like this for today. Yes, please believe me.
Hello. Today, here's obviously everything a little different. Somehow, the prompt list is upside down today. Today, on December 5th, with the fourth prompt of dephemerember 2024. I think this is somehow a premiere. I think we never had that the prompt list was upside down. And my journal is upside down as well, look. But I have a problem. If I turn it this way and I try to read today's prompt, that is somehow really difficult and for my brain a little bit impossible. Because here it says snippet roll and woven flowers. Somehow my brain can't handle that so well. So I thought, what happens if I turn the prompt list the other way around? So perhaps then it's a little bit easier to read this here. Because when I read it now, it says flowers and woven snippet roll. Am I allowed to turn the prompt list upside down? Well, since I'm one of the hosts of dephemerember, I think I am allowed to do that. Is Barbara at 49 Dragonflies, who's the second host of dephemerember, also allowed to do that? Of course she is. Are you allowed to do that? Well, of course you are. Do with the prompt list whatever you want. If you don't have the prompt list yet, go to my website. The link is down below in the description box. Download it and then do with it whatever you want. You can tear it, you can turn it upside down, you can mix it into your coffee, do whatever you want. And when you have done it and you want to share what you have created with the prompts, then use the hashtag dephemerember on your social media, because then the other people can also see what you have created. You can also use the hashtag for your YouTube videos, and when then someone puts the hashtag dephemerember into the YouTube search, they can also find your video or videos, depending on how many you make, and that way we can inspire each other with some really cool ephemera ideas. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about the flowers later. And let's first talk about our woven snippet roll. And for that, well, it's probably helpful to first think about what a snippet roll is and what you use for a snippet roll. For making a snippet roll, you can basically use whatever you want, whatever you have laying around in your room. I prefer things where I have a lot. For example, old book pages. For today's project, I prefer really straight little scraps, so they are all rectangles. I also want to include one of the scraps Barbara has sent to me. I've already chosen this gorgeous, I think it's a jelly print. I will cut this into way smaller or slimmer pieces like the book pages. And what I also like to include in a snippet roll are tea bags, because that is a really cool material. I also have some coffee filters in this really strange basket here. I will also take my little basket of fabric and lace snippets. This is something I have next to my sewing machine. And when I sew and I have some pieces left over, then I throw them in there. And for such a project, they come in really handy, of course. Okay, when we have this material, we can assemble this whole thing. Normally, I do this because what is normal in junk journaling? Yeah? But when we think about a snippet roll, then we probably think about a very long strip of, for example, paper, double-sided tape or fabric, where all of these little things are then assembled and glued or sewn on. And then when you have this long strip, you can roll that up for storing it, and then you can cut that into pieces to use then the single pieces in your junk journal. That's a snippet roll. But our prompt list says woven snippet roll. So I want to make something to weave with, and I thought, why don't we make some scrap threads to then weave our own snippet roll. In this video, I want to show you different variations of this idea to make a scrap thread. And I thought about various things, how you could do that, especially with this thing, if you have a sewing machine or if you don't have a sewing machine. So I have different options for you. One option would be to take a mixture of glue and water. This is Mod Podge mixed with water, but you can use some PVA glue as well. And then you could take a non-sticky mat, put this mixture of water and glue on the mat, and then just stick the scraps on there. I will show you here my footage from the German video, which I already have recorded, because I don't want to do this method again. And I also tell you why, because it's not the easiest method for me. But I want to show you something that you can do even without a sewing machine. That was, for me, the most important point. You can then just put this mixture of water and glue to this non-stick mat, put the scraps on there, make sure that they are upside down, then so that the printed or nice side is facing the mat. Then you take the embroidery thread and put that to the center of your scraps. Just lay it down there, and then you can fold the scraps to the other side so that the embroidery thread is then in there and the scraps are wrapped around this thread. Then you can let everything dry, and then you have a really, really nice scrap thread that works exactly the same like what I will do in this video. But for me, it's easier to do it with my sewing machine because then I don't have the drying time. I mean, you can use your heat tool, of course, as well. But for me, it's just easier to do it with my sewing machine. But I wanted to show you something that you can also do with only glue. But I will, of course, show you how I do this on my sewing machine without glue and just with the scraps and the thread. So let's take a sip of coffee and the camera, and let's go to my sewing machine. Please ignore the mess here. So here we go. Here's my sewing machine. As you can see, I've already started here a little bit, but I only did that because of the video. Then it's easier for me to handle. Take the embroidery thread, take a scrap, fold the scrap in half. Oh, I think I have 2 layers here. We only need 1. Fold that in half, well, approximately in half. Then put that on here. Tuck that under the sewing machine foot. Then it's easier to sew. So then we are going to take the next scrap, fold it in half, put that around here. You can also let that overlap a little bit, of course. Take the next one, fold it, put it on here. Then perhaps let's take a little bit of fabric and fold that around here as well. Then it really helps if you put your fingers on here and pull with your fingers a little bit into this direction. Take the embroidery thread with your other hand and pull that to the other direction so that it's really tight in there. And then sew. And try to sew over the thread, over the embroidery thread. Or at least very close to the embroidery thread. It doesn't matter if it's not completely pierced from the thread from the sewing machine, but yeah, try to stitch through it at least in a few spots. And then you can just go on with this method. Just take more scraps, put them around here, and sew the next portion. Let's perhaps add a little bit of lace here. And this way you can also already see really well how this will turn out, because you can see what you already have here. And then of course you can also make some variations with the scraps and the materials. So I will go on with this method until I have a really, really, really long scrap thread. So then, when this is finished, it looks like this. To determine the size of this thing, I want to choose a page where I want to put this whole thing later. I have already something in mind what I want to do with my woven snippet roll, but of course you can also make that in a way bigger size than I will do it now. I just wanted to save some time on making this for the video, but if I would do this without the camera, I would probably make some kilometers of this stuff here and then store that in my stash somewhere. And then I just lay it down here and take the height of the page. Oh, look, I mean, if you would, let's make it, shall we make it bigger than the pages so that it peeks out a little bit? That could be also nice. Even if you would take this and just glue it down, just like it is. I mean, look, that is gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, I love this idea so much. So let's take this as a reference for the length. I will need 4 of these pieces for my idea in approximately the same length. Oh, I'm so good. This is all what I have left over. Don't laugh too early, Luise. Don't laugh too early. So then we are going to take one of these. And now it's really helpful to have 2 things at hand. The one thing is tape. And the second thing is something where you have a grid or something similar, or lines, or, you know, so that you can find a nice distance for these things. I stick this down here now, and then I will explain exactly what I mean. I try to stick it down here on one of these lines so that this is really straight. And here you can see the embroidery thread and the sewing is now on the left side of this piece of our scrap thread. The loose pieces are here on the right side. Can you see? And the next one I take and I put it to the table here in exactly the other way, so that the thread is now on the right side and the loose pieces are here. So that means the embroidery thread area is facing here. And when we have managed to glue this down, we can start weaving. And I do this because I will do some cheating now. But it will look woven in the end, please believe me. I want to have little holes in here, like squares. I do this because what is this? This is junk journaling. It can only be approximately a square. So I take a little bit of this from the left scrap thread. I put that to the other side. I take some glue, but I put the glue only here to the ends of the scrap, and then I just glue it down here. We want to have a little hole here, which is approximately a square. If I would take these and put them here, you can see this is a rectangle. That is not so nice, I think, but let's make a square from it. Just take your scissors, cut in here. Be careful, don't cut through the embroidery thread, please. And just take this as well, fold that over, and then suddenly this is a square. But don't freak your freak. If it's a rectangle, it's also nice, I think. But perhaps you know me, then you know that I like these like more regular things with these kinds of projects. I mean, this portion here is then also not a square. We can decide if we want to have this here, if we like it. I think I really like when this is on this, so let's just do it. I mean, you know, I think it makes absolutely no sense what I'm saying here, because a second ago I said I want to have this as being a square, then this. I mean, the argument could be then this should be a square as well, but you can see I don't do what I tell you here. So let's take the next portion from the left and fold that to the right, perhaps like this. And I really like the look we can achieve here now, because it's like overlapping, it's like collaged, but it's not totally glued together. There are these like loose pieces. I really enjoy that. And at the same time, it gets really sturdy. With this method, you could, of course, now go on until the end of the day or so, or the week, and make this very long. And then you could take it off from your table, take the tape off, and you could roll it like you would roll like a normal snippet roll. And then you could cut this into pieces and use that in your journal. I want to go a step further. I don't want to make it longer, but I want to make it wider, and I want to have a really nice ending here, and then use this whole piece later in my journal on one of the pages. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take this, and of course you could do that on a longer piece as well, yeah? So I take another of these, placing this here with the embroidery thread on the left side. So exactly the same like this first piece was. I lift all of this up, put this under here. Now I look that I have here approximately the same distance like here in between of the others. And now I put glue only here where these scraps are overlapping this row. Does that make sense? So that I can connect this piece, which I've just added, to what I already had before. And I try to make sure that this is approximately parallel. So I will take another one of these, place this here on the left, take all of these little guys, lift them up, put this under here, make sure that the distance is approximately the same like it was for the others. Put it parallel to the rest, and then you can automatically also see which areas you have to glue down, because they are all in the air here.
Dephemerember, where hearts unite.
This is from my Teabag Birds printable. These are the Teabag Birds junk journal pages, which you can find, of course, in my shop. There's a matching ephemera pack available as well. And when I thought about this idea, especially because I've used tea bags here, this came immediately to my mind, this set, because this, look, these textures here, these are all tea bags I have stained by myself and then scanned in. Also, this corrugated cardboard is scanned. These little textured pieces here I made all by myself and then put to my scanner. Here went a lot of work and also a lot of my heart into this printable. These tea bags, perhaps you remember the video where I made these. If not, I mean, if you remember it, congratulations, it's a really old video. I will link that down below for you. But what I'm trying to say is all of the elements you can see here, or nearly This is a digital image, of course, but all of the background images I made by myself. This is pretty old. This is somehow a little bit retro printable. All of these birds I painted by myself on my iPad. These flowers are from vintage books, but I manipulated them here so that the bird can sit in them and that they also look a little bit more like watercolor. On the page I want to use here, you can see that probably a little bit better. So this is the flower from the book, and then I merged the bird, which I painted by myself on my iPad, in here. Yeah, so if you want to have these, you can find them in my shop. There is the Teabag Birds junk journal pages. There is also an ephemera pack available. I haven't printed that out because I don't need that today. And there are also some background pages with only the tea bags. This pack is called Teabag Paper. And as a little dephemerember goodie, you can get 25% off on all three, the Teabag Birds junk journal pages, the ephemera pack, and the Teabag paper. This is again from the Teabag Birds. Yeah, so let's see. So how can you get the discount? I'm so sorry. Please take this code here and put that into this little box at the end of your order where it says shop coupon, and then the 25% will automatically get off, you know. And a really crazy thing about this paper is here in my little drawer where I store, as you can see, all of my tea bags and coffee filters and so on. This drawer is called Coffee and Tea. I found this. And as you can see, this is one of the original tea bags I have made. As I said, I will link the video how this was made down below for you. And here, yes, it's, can you see? It's this portion here on the printable. It's a little bit bigger, but this tea bag is what you can see here in the printable. And I thought, why do I have this still in my stash? I mean, what the heck? This is just too long. That I hoarded this. I mean, look at the date of the video, then you will understand my thoughts. And I thought perhaps we can include this to the page somehow as well. So I want to use a portion of this page. What about here? If I imagine that this was here, and now imagine here was a hole like so, then we would see this. That is perhaps good. That will make sense in a second. Yeah, okay, let's do it. It makes sense to take this and test how it looks when this is in here, color-wise. I think the turquoise fits really well to the bird, but this paper, which will be then later on a journaling card, also has this red. Here in the background, we have the orange. I think, ooh, that looks really nice, and it fits really nice to the belly of the bird and also to the colors here and here. But the red, I'm missing a little bit of red. I think I want to use a stencil. What about this one? THS 006. Oh, by the way, this is Lumberjack Plaid. You could now also take sprays or ink to make the colors work for your project. And then I think I want to try to splatter a little bit of peacock feathers spray stain. I also want to add a little bit of the oxide spray of peacock feathers. So now I want to take an acetate. This is just an overhead transparency. And I want to take this and I want to sew my little woven snippet roll piece here to the acetate. If you don't have a sewing machine, just use double-sided tape for this step. I will take some paper clips to bring this in the right position. Take your paper or your journaling card or whatever, this is going to become the journaling card later, and put it in here so that you can see where it will sit later in the pocket. Take something round. Make sure, please, that you have a little bit of a distance here to the, you know, where this is folded. Then trace this round thing not only on the snippet roll piece but also on the acetate. Then I will go to my sewing machine again with this piece and I will sew around here. So then it looks like this. And we have this cool circle here and some really amazing smear of the crayon. Well, we don't freak our freak. So this was obviously not completely dry. Make sure that if you use crayon that it's completely dry, but this is art now. So we take our scissors and we cut here under the scraps until we reach the circle here, just like that. Make sure that you don't cut through your sewing. And then we cut the circle out here and just remove this acetate. Here we can also, under the scraps, just cut straight. And now, when this is here, you can't see the bird. Of course, we want to see the bird. So I take this and I just tear this. Here where I can't tear, because there's the embroidery thread, of course, I just take my scissors. Oh, we could even, ooh, is that, ooh, what's happening here? I mean, oh, I just wanted to say, oh, let's try something. Ooh, I just, I'm so sorry. This is creativity happening right in this moment. I just wanted to say, tear this off. And there where you can't tear it because you've used fabric or where the embroidery thread is, just cut it with your scissors. But now I'm just seeing how cool does this look when it's, I mean, we can still see that it is a circle. Will he then look like in a prison when this is, or like in a cage when this is there? Or is that still okay? Let's decide that later. Let's decide that later. Let's first take a piece of double-sided tape and let's put that to the very edge of the page. Peel this off and then let's take this and now I will line this here up with the edge of the page so that all of these scraps then peek out later. Look, oh. I love that so much. Let's put a little bit here on the bottom as well to close the pocket here and make sure that this is nice and sturdy. Let's then take a little bit more tape and place this here so that we then can attach that here. Now we probably have to adjust the size of this thing, I guess. Here we go. I've just sewn it to a little craft paper. Not super stiff, but stiff enough that I can get it in and out here really easily. So now, what to do with this stuff? I have it. I know what I want to do. I will cut this off. I will then tear the scraps here, or where I can't, Oh, here, look, here is fabric. Let's cut this like so. So that this little piece here is peeking into the circle, and this we can just have it here like loose, like so. I'm just thinking how I can include this tea bag now, or in one of my next steps. Let's talk about the flowers, because the prompt list says flowers and woven snippet roll. Can you please explain me how it is possible that you have this amount of embroidery thread? And please don't judge me. I need to reorganize this. I mean, I was searching for a red embroidery thread in here that matches this red here. Here is no matching red. I have this pinkish one, which is absolutely terrible in combination with this. And I found this one here, but that also doesn't match. So I changed my mind. Because we need some more embroidery thread for our flower now. So I have chosen these. I think that is good. Then I have cut out 2 layers of a flower from this tea bag. I have cut these with the help of a die cut. That is this one here. The number is 656640. If you don't have a die cut, you could of course use your scissors as well and cut yourself such a like simple shape of a flower. But this is of course really easy, and you can make more than 2 in a really short amount of time. So that's why I like using die cuts, because it's just easy and fast. I've also cut that out from some craft paper. It's exactly the same flower, and from some fabric. So then no, we will not have a snack, even if it looks like that. And only because I have a fork in my hand, that doesn't mean that we get some snacks now. Don't hope for that. It will not happen. Because we want to finish this year. No time for snacks. But this fork and a little bit of thin wire is what I need for making my flower now. I take my fork, I take this, and approximately there where the half is, I mean, that doesn't really matter. I fold it like this so that I then can put it through the fork here, exactly in the middle. This piece of the wire which comes out here, which is like coming towards myself, I wrap around here so that it can't move and can't run away. This piece here, I let loose here on the back. You could wrap it around here as well, but that is, I think, not such a good idea, because it can then get tangled. So then let's take the embroidery threads. So then I take all of these here like so. I take my fork, I put this on here, hold that with my finger, and then I wrap this around several times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perhaps 6 times. I think I want to have this part pretty massive here. Let's do another round. And then let's cut that off. Then you can just hold this here where the ends of the embroidery threads are. We take this from the back and this piece here from the front, unwrap this. Then we bring them together here on the front. And now we twist them as tight as we can. I twist this here as well, and then we take this off carefully. Ooh. You could now leave this exactly like it is. I think that looks really, really cute. But you can also go a step further. Take your scissors and cut all of these loops open. I take this to protect my surface here. Then I take my fork back and I go in here to separate the threads a little bit. Then it looks like this. And I really like these irregular parts of it, but of course feel free to give this a little hairstyle if you want. You can easily cut around here to make it more regular. So then when we have that, we take one of these paper layers. I will quickly ink around the edges with some scorched timber distress ink, really randomly. Let's then take the fabric layer of the flower. I take it like this and I first fold it in half, like this. Then I fold it again in half so that I then have something like this. I take my stapler and just staple this together. And then this little guy can go on here, and this little thing can then be the center of the flower. I think that is really nice already. Now I'm thinking about these. We could either put one of them under the flower to give it more interest and contrast. Yeah, why not? I will glue that a little offset. Let's think about this, and especially this. What if I take this and also fold that 2 times in half, make another of these quarter petal things? I think that is not a word, but I think you know what I mean. And what if we then put that here? Oh my goodness, I love that. That is really cool. Let's do that. I then want to take another of these, just ink 3 of the petals because I want to cut them off. Holy moly, my other phone just died. I don't know what you have seen, but here are my petals. And now, to be honest, this thing is totally bothering me because this is like hanging over my flower. I've just decided to cut that off. Oh, let's just staple this here. Why not? Then we have also like a little color bridge to the other page. And at the same time, we haven't wasted this. And, you know, it's yeah, it looks nice. So then let's take some of these. I will glue these in here for more interest. And then we have this here left from the leaves, and I have also cut out a few more of these, and I'm thinking if I want to put perhaps one of those somewhere here, perhaps a third one here. And if then someone could please tell me how I now shall attach these without the glue showing through. Make a cross in your calendar. I will use some bling bling now. I just found these.
Ephemerember, where hearts unite. With every piece we shine so bright. Across the world our spirits soar, creating together forevermore. From simple scraps to colors bold, we wrap our stories into gold. Each prompt a spark, a joyful ember, bringing warmth warmth and dephemerember. Dephemerember, where hearts unite. With every piece we shine so bright.
So let's then take a look at how this whole thing looks when the journaling card is not in here. If you know me, you know what I need before I can be happy with this. And no, it's not chocolate. It's somehow a quote. I think replace fear of the unknown with curiosity. I think that is really, really nice in combination with this, you know, when you take it out and you see the other thing. And let's then here make an arrow. Oh, hey, this little, it's a check mark or so, but we have to make it upside down, of course, like this. So then we have finished this prompt number 4, flowers and woven snippet roll. And now I wish you a very, very great weekend. You can see we have this little scrap here on the prompt list where it says weekend. That's not only for our orientation and for your orientation with the month and the dates and so on, but it's also meant that you can write some things here. So if you, for example, want to do some more prompts, perhaps you are one of the people who say, this is not enough for me, I want to have prompts at the weekend as well. We know that there are those people who want to have daily prompts. Then please feel free to think about your own prompts and write them here. Or you could, of course, do other things here. Write, I have to clean my house, or I have to eat cheese, or I have to meet my best friend, or whatever, or just leave it free. Yeah, it's just, you know, the weekend is here. So have a very, very great and creative time on the weekend. And then we will see on Monday, if you want, with the prompt journaling card and beloved visitor. And when I think about guests, I mean, obviously someone is going to come. I think I need to clean my desk because here it looks like a bomb has fallen down. It's not so bad when you look at it like that, is it? I mean, here's this stuff, and there's this stuff laying around, my bling bling I have to put away. I definitely have to clean this desk now so that I'm really well prepared for Monday. See you there or then, there, here, then on Monday. Bye bye.
What the heck? Can someone please come and help me? 14.000 Stunden später. Oh, 4 days later. Oh. Holy moly, guacamole. I need my phone.